Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So this week we have a JCB boom in that needs a repair job doing on it. Just to give you an idea what I'm working on, so that is a boom out of JCB Loadall, which is this part in here, and then the boom telescopics out of that as well, so that lifts up and down, and yeah, you get the idea. But this one has an issue with, this is the main pivot for the boom, and as you can see, it's, well, I just ripped the bush out, broken the bush out around there. And on the other side, it looks like it's starting to do exactly the same thing. Looks like it's cracked around there. So what I need to do is cut these out, make some new ones, weld them in, and then line bar them through. But I sort of need to figure out how it's been constructed, because it hasn't really cracked where I'd expect it to crack. And then when you look on the inside, it doesn't look like it's been welded around the inside, and then for some reason it has like a washer that's just been a few little short welds holding that in. So I'll knock that out first and see what we can work out. So that has come out now, and you can see it's just ripped it. You can see on there it's been, that is weld around there. So I think what they've done is that washer on the inside has been like a backing washer, or maybe a locating washer, because you can see in there like the original hole, and then all this is weld all the way around, and it's just sort of ripped it out. And then when you look on the outside, you can see where the weld hasn't reached all the way to the edge. So I think what they've done is they've put a bevel on it, like full depth of this plate, because it's welded onto there. Look at the undercut on that. Yeah, and then just welded it all the way through from this side. And then whether the weld just hasn't taken to that properly, or whether it's just not been strong enough and it's just wiggled until it's metal fatigued it out. Then this bush I've knocked in a little bit, and the crack is starting to go through into there. So yeah, the same thing is happening with this one. Yeah, that's what that looks like on the inside. So I need to cut that out now, get rid of all that nasty metal that's ripped and broken out. So I think if I cut it out slightly bigger diameter than that, and then when I make a new one of them, I'll make it a bit like a top hat bush, so it'll be bigger diameter, well, with that way around, bigger diameter on the inside, and then the right diameter to fit through here. And then when I weld it back in, I'll obviously weld it up around the outside, and then also weld it round the outside as well. If I make the inner piece the same size as what that washer is, and weld that round as well, and then it should just spread the load on both sides of the plate. I think I'll do this side first, because then I might be able to use this side to line up that side, get this one welded up, and then I might be able to use this side to line up that side, cut that one out, get that one welded up, and then when I line bar it, I can go off this hole here to get this parallel and square. Right, I had the hole cut out now, cut out with the plasma. So I cut that ring out to start with. I was going to use that ring to put over there and then use a gas torch to cut around it. I thought it'd be easier with a plasma, so I cut out a smaller ring just because of how the nozzle is on the plasma. You rest that bit up again, cut around it. So I cut a smaller one out, used the pin to sort of align it, tacked it to it, and then just cut around it. Got rid of that bit. There is still a bit of the old surface there where it's broken out of, so I'll have to clean that up as well. And then there was the inner washer. That was the inner washer, like that bit. It's like the backing washer that they're welded to. I had to knock that out. But I think before I do any more with that, I'll get the sleeve made that I'm going to put in there, the new one of these. I'll get that made, and then I can decide whether that hole needs any more cleaning up or what to do with that and chamfer it and do what I need to do. But I'll get the sleeves made first. I do have some heavy wall tube that I can use for that. It'd be ideal for this job. But I'll have to bring the big bandsaw around and cut 2 bits off it because it's too big to cut in my chop saw. And I don't want to cut through it by hand. So if I bring that round, bring the tube round, cut 2 bits off it, get them machined up, and then get this ready to weld them in. Right, this is the tube we're going to use then, so this is E355 plus N, which 355 is its yield strength and plus N means it's been normalised, and it's a seamless tube, so it's sort of ideal for what we need. Nice and strong. With it being seamless, it'd be nice to line bore, and it's what is it, 158 by 67, so it's don't have much to remove, but it's small enough that there is some to remove when we line bar it. So yeah, that's ideal. Nice and strong, be nice to weld and easy to machine. Alright, that's that lump cut off, so I should get 2 made out of that with a bit left over. every time I use this bandsaw, I always get people telling me the blade's going the wrong way, but it's not, because that is the fixed side of the vise. So yeah, it's going the right way. Usually they do go the other way, but usually this side of the vise is the fixed side, and that side is the one that opens up, but it's opposite way around on this one. So I don't use it very often. It's just handy to have. I use it a couple of times a year, but for jobs like this, it's perfect. So I have that in the lathe now. I've trued it up sort of best I can. It's not easy because it's a rough edge on the diameter, but I need it something like, because I don't have much to play with on the ID. So the bush that goes in here is like 76 mil, call it 76 mil, and the ID on there is sort of 68.5. So what's that? 1.5 mil plus 6, so like 7.5 mil. So we only sort of have 3.5 mil ish either side to bore out to finished size, because I'm going to line bore this. I'm going to leave that ID, just turn down the OD and then weld them in and then bore them through, but I need them to be reasonably accurate, otherwise it's going to be boring out one side, nothing out the other. I've got that rough down now, so that's 140 mil instead of 160 mil. And now I need to turn 25 mil of it down to 110 mil to fit through the hole that I cut out. One thing I need to know though is because I'm making this a bigger diameter, I'm sort of going to go to the same diameter as that washer. But when you look in there where the wear plates come to, when this boom slides in, I sort of need to know how much clearance I have so it doesn't hit the bigger boss that I make. So obviously it doesn't hit the washer, but there's the wear plates and then the boom, so the boom might come over the top of that washer, where if the whole lot is the same size as the washer, it might hit it. So I'm just waiting to hear back off the customer now. I just want to need a measurement from the end of where that wear plate goes to where the boom is, if there's any like overhang, and whether it is just straight down or whether it's got a notch out for that. But I can still get this bit machined down to 110. I'm going to go slightly bigger than that. That one was 106. We'll go to 110 just to give it a bit more meat. So I can do that, and then I can part this one off. Well, like I say, I need to know what overall diameter I can have. But then I'll get this one machined up, part this one off, and then do the same on the next one, and then part that one off. That's that turned down as well then, 110mm on the OD there. I put a chamfer in that corner. I could do with a smaller chamfering tool really, because that chamfer's a bit big. Yeah, just use that button insert, which is a 10mm button. So there's like 5mm radius on there. But it just means there's going to have to be room for that radius when it gets welded in, otherwise it won't sit down on that properly. But yeah, I can't do much more of that at the moment until I know what my final OD is on the bigger bit. By the way, I can be chamfering this hole, chamfer that back out like it would have been originally. I've got a nice chamfer around there now, so that's a 30-degree chamfer or bevel. But that should give me plenty of weld when the new boss goes in. I've got all that to fill with weld. I think it's better beveling, putting all the bevel on there rather than on that, because if you beveled that as well, you're sort of losing material. I know you're putting it back in with weld again, but I think it's better to bevel this rather than bevel that as well. Might as well take this back out as well because I don't need that anymore. And the saw, take the saw back out. So I've just been out to the machine and I've just made a template of sort of where that is the shape of the back of the boom. I'll insert a picture of what the back of the boom looks like and you can see. And then I've done that cut out there to where the wear pad is. And now on the inside of the boom I can see where the wear pad has been wearing. So now if I offer that up to there, line that up with that wear mark, and it gives me an idea of where the boom runs. Obviously the side of the boom is spaced off of there, the thickness of the wear pad, like been going over the top of that washer. But now when I'm making one all the same diameter, I can't go any bigger than what it is to clear around there. I made that to 140, so if I take another 5mm off there, make that down to 135, and then that should be good. So that is both of them bosses made now. So the next issue is getting them lined up into the hole. So because I've sort of pre-bored them to 70mm, the pin or the bush is 76mm, well it's actually 76.28, it's a bit of a strange size, but that doesn't give me much tolerance when I line bore them out. It only sort of gives me 3mm either side, so if it's 3mm out of line, it's going to be boring all of it out at one side and nothing out at the other side. So I need to make sure I get this in line as close as possible I can to the original one. But as I found out earlier, these bushes, well, they have some tolerance in them and they're slightly worn, so when I put the pin in there, the pin wobbles about, which gets me outside of my 3mm tolerance. So I'm thinking now, if I machine a sleeve up with a 70mm OD, that's a nice tight, well, reasonably snug fit in there, and then is also reasonably snug fit on the pin. And then if I also do the same for this, well, the one that's still in the boom, so it's a reasonably snug fit in there and a reasonably snug fit in the pin again, and then that should get this side lined up with the original side, and then I can weld that in and then do the same for the other side one. So that's what I'm going to do now, just quickly machine up some sleeves to fit in there and to fit in there that will nicely fit on the pin. Right, that's that sleeve parted off. If I've got my tolerances right, that should be a nice fit in there. Which it is, that's nice in there. Don't want it too tight, I don't want to be knocking it in and out. I just want it to keep the pin straight. And then that should be a nice fit on the pin. Which it is. No slack in it. So yeah, that'll do to line that up with the new boss that I made. So now I just need to make one of them the same, but to fit in the boss that's still welded in the boom. So that is the boss and the sleeve on the pin, and it's, yeah, nice and no slack in it. All I need it to do is keep me within the 3mm tolerance that I've got. So yeah, that's good as that. So I've got another sleeve made for there now, and then I've just got that mocked up. Just needs a hole, needs opening out a little bit more yet for the chamfer, for the like radius that I put on between the two sizes. So it's not quite sat up there yet. I still need to drill a hole for the grease nipples, so I'll do that now, I just wanted to mock it up and make sure everything's going to be all right. And then I can just square it off there as well. Just once knocking over. There is a little bit of wobble in it still, because obviously there has to be a bit of tolerance for the bushes, for the sleeves to slide in and out. So yeah, I can square that off there, square that off the other side. And yeah, that should be nicely in line with that one. So that is them both drilled and tapped now, so that is them ready to go. So with this, I think I'll just open that hole up a little bit more, just so there's room for the radius. And it's maybe actually the weld that it's sat on. There's some welds there from left over from that washer. So I'll grind them off, Just open that up a bit more, give that a final clean round. We'll get it all set up, and then we'll get this one tacked in. We'll weld this one up fully, and then turn it over, and then do exactly the same on the other side. Right, I've got that clamped in there then, like that, got all my spacers in. Then I've got square up there, and we're square that way, pretty much, and we're square that way, pretty much. So if I put some tacks around there, nice and even, so it doesn't pull too much one way or the other, and then we'll give it a preheat up to like 150 degrees C, something like that, and then, yeah, we'll fill that up with weld. So that's that fully welded in now. I'm actually quite sure how many welds I did. I'll have to look back at the video, but there's quite a few in there. So you can't really see the weld very well, but it's smoothed off. All the like splatter taken off anyway, not smoothed off properly. But yes, that is that fully welded in. So I need to turn it upside down now, not upside down, but the other way over. And then I can chop that one out and then also weld that one round as well. So I got this boss cut out and I'm just starting to bevel the edge now, but look at all this porosity I've found. And that's not good. So I'll have to get rid of that. So that's the old boss that we cut out. Still pretty hot. You can see where it's sort of been welded back to that washer. And then I've got this beveled, and I've got most of that porosity ground back. There's still the odd bit. Ignore this bit. This is just where it's sort of joined, where the two thicknesses join. So yeah, I'll grind a bit more out of there. I'm not sure. I don't think that porosity is why it's failed, because the crack hasn't really started from, well, sort of goes from there all the way around and then into the middle there. But that side was at this side. So that was at that side. It doesn't, the crack hasn't started from where the weld is. So that's maybe not why it's failed, but it's not very good. But then on the outside of this, you can see there, that maybe looks like a crack, and that is right where the porosity was. Yeah, not sure. Anyway, doesn't really matter now. I think I have that dressed up best I can now. I've got all the porosity out and got a nice bevel all the way around. So we'll put the pin back through and the new boss in, and then hopefully it should line up. It's nice and square that way, and nice and square that way, and then nice gap to fill. So we'll get that preheated and then weld that in as well. I should have welded that one up while it was still hot. I don't know why I didn't really, but I'll have to preheat that again as well and weld around the inside the best I can. Probably won't be able to get all the way around into the back. Not with a big torch anyway. I might have to use a little torch on a little welder. I'm using my topped on, it's a TC004 infrared heat gun to know what temperature I'm at. So I'll preheat it to like 150, somewhere around there, and then keep welding it, but then I'm making sure my interpass temperature is sort of not more than 250. So if it gets up to 250, then I wait for it to cool down a little bit and then weld a bit more. Right, so I've got that fully welded in now. Welded in not too bad. I struggle a bit with the cap weld. I can't really see where I'm going very well. I need to get some better screens for me welding mask. And I've just moved them off a bit just to tidy them up. But yeah, I'm happy with that. That was, yeah, no porosity or anything. It all went to plan. And then I'm just on welding this one in around the inside. So I've got round this side welded up, which is obviously fine, but the back side is very difficult to get to. So I've got a mirror set up in there. You can see the weld is not very nice, or doesn't look very nice, but it's just incredibly difficult. I've had to use the little JCB with a little torch to get the torch in round the back. There's not enough room. If there was enough room, it wouldn't be too bad. It's not too bad welding in the mirror. It's just really hard to get in there to get the weld where you want it. But yeah, even though it doesn't look very nice, a bit of weld, there's still 3 runs around the back, which is better than nothing like it had originally. So most of the strength is on the outside weld, but I just wanted a bit on the inside as well to spread the load over a sort of a wider area. So I'll just quickly flip it back over again, weld around the inside of that boss, same as what I've just done with that one, and then I'll sit it back the right way up, and then we'll set up ready to line bar it through. Again, that one was very difficult to get in the back. You can see I've got 3 runs of weld around the back of it. So yeah, that should be better than it was anyway. At least now it has got weld around both sides. It's not done my mirror any good though. So yeah, I can tip that back the right way up now and then get my line boring gear out. Just that sleeve to knock out. And then line bar it through to suit the new bushes. I've got that set up with the alignment cones, and I was hoping that was going to be accurate enough, but it doesn't line up with this pin. It's like a mil out from one side to the other. If I measure from that keyway to the shaft to the pin, it's 200 mil on this side and 198 on this side. So, although it's not much. So I'll have to use these instead. Get drilled in properly. I think I've got these set up now then, so I've got them tacked on and I've measured from the keyway to the pin, and that measures the same on both sides. And then I've got these straight edges set up, and the way I do it is I sort of sight them across to each other, and if they both look parallel, then that means the pins are both parallel. It doesn't take much for the pin to be out, for the steel, for the straight edge to be off. But I think that's as near as it needs to be. And then on the inside, I've got a 10mm drill as a spacer, as a you know, a set size. I know that's 10mm, and that's sort of, well, some places it's tight, some places it's not tight, but I'm within my tolerance. If I could fit a 13mm drill in one side and not in the other side, then I'd be out of tolerance, but that's fine as it is. So I'll be cutting out at both sides of the hole. It's not going to cut out one side and not the other. So I'm going to call that right. I'm going to get my bearings tacked on now, and then, yeah, get the line bar set up. So this should be a bit of a treat for me. I'm getting to use the 50mm bar, and I've actually got space to put all the legs out without having them close together or just struggling for space for them. So it's nice that I've actually got somewhere to tack them on, and they're all spaced out evenly. These new bushes measure 76.25, so I'm going to aim for 76.17, and then they have a nice interference fit then, nice bit of crush on them. If I can hopefully hit that, or somewhere near. So yeah, I'll get a tool put in there, and then we'll do a first pass to start with, see what it's going to cut like, and then go from there. nice and even all the way around. Well, this is a second cut, so it will be doing now, but it was nicely centralised with the hole anyway. Wasn't cutting a lot out one side, not out the other. So this should get me out to about 74mm. That's what we want. Right, this should be the final cut now, but I'm second guessing myself because I keep measuring with them, but then that measures slightly different to what the tool stick out measures when you measure the tool stick out with these. So I'm just not sure which is best to go off. But then I've sort of been practicing with this old one. I measured that with the snap gauge and the micrometer, and then measured it with this, and then sort of learning to feel just the right amount of resistance when you put them in to match up with what this says, because that'll be pretty accurate. And then I transferred that over to here to same amount of resistance, and it matched up with what that said. So I've set that up now to 26.1. I just went a little bit less, it's moved now, but I went 26.12. So I'll just run that in a little bit, and then I'll measure it, stop it, measure it, and then if it's right, we'll send it through and do them both. I just really don't want to overcut it and then have to bar weld it and then do it all again. So just being a bit cautious. Yeah, I think we're alright at that. That's about what I've got the tool height set at. Yeah, I think we'll send that through at that. Famous last words. There's quite a few chips to say there's only 3mm to take out. 3mm has seemed quite a lot. Just going nice and steady for this last cut. If you like this type of content, please do consider subscribing. I don't like to keep pestering you, but every time I do mention it, I can see that the subscribers go up. So obviously it does make a difference. If you're new here, I put out a new video every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, just of the work I've been doing that previous week. For anyone wondering, this is the MIG wire that I use to weld in the bosses with. It's generally what I use for everything. And then I'm on N gas and I'm using MIG weld 20. So I've taken the bar out now and I've chamfered either side of the hole. You can't see on that side, but they're all chamfered. I just have to have a measure, make sure there isn't any that needs facing off them. shouldn't be. I'll measure them with my snap gauge now and micrometer to see what we've got. .169, so we're absolutely smack on nearly what we wanted. That's what we wanted. So yeah, I'm well pleased with that. Now when you measure through there, when I went to make my template, I got a measurement off the machine. And the maximum was 362 and we've got 360. So I've measured in one hand. So yeah, that should do that. Doesn't need any taking off there. It won't be dead flat, won't that surface, because it'll have pulled a bit when I welded it, but for what it is, well, I don't think it'll make a difference. So all that line boring stuff can come off now, and then we can put the bushes in. I use a hollow jack and pull them in with a hollow jack, I think. Because these bushes are a stupid size, the thing that I made for pulling bushes in doesn't suit that. So I think I'll just use it the other way around and use the back side to pull it in with. And then I'm just gonna make sure I put it in the right way so the grease hole lines up with the grease nipple, and I'll try and make it so that hole lines up with the grease hole. That's what the bars look like after they've been line bored. So I was using these, but they don't seem to like interrupted cuts. So like when it got to the grease hole, I can't remember which one I was using now, it sort of took the point off. You won't be able to see on camera, but it just took the edge off. They do cut really nice if it's just a straight cut, but if there's any interruption, it doesn't seem to like them. They seem very delicate. Where these ones that came with the S-Power seem like they don't mind interrupted cuts as much. Right, there we go. So that is the bushes in and the pinion as well. It's a nice fit. By the time that's gone up and down a few times, it'll it's bedded itself in. And when it's got some grease in it as well. Yeah, that is that done. I have some yellow paint. I think I might just give it a spray with some yellow aerosol. Right, we've got a bit of yellow paint on it now. It's, well, I think I said this last time I used it. It doesn't cover very well. I've been over that, put like 1 million coats on, well maybe not 1 million, but 7 or 8 coats on there, and it's still, you can still see through it. But anyway, that'll do, I think. Once it's in the machine, you won't really see it as much. That side looks alright. The other side, I maybe should have spent a bit more time smoothing it off around the outside. I put an extra cap weld over that. But yeah, it just doesn't look as good. Plenty strong enough, it's just doesn't look as good as the other side. Doesn't look as nice as I wanted it to do. And I've got the grease nipples back in there. So yeah, that is that done. I can't remember whether I said earlier or not, but this machine is a 2017, I think he said. It's done 7,000 hours. So I could have repaired it as it was originally, and it had maybe done another 7,000 hours, but some of them out there are breaking before they get to 7,000 hours. So that's why I've repaired it better than what it was, for just in case. So that boss is 110mm diameter now instead of 106 like the original one was. And with that bit in the middle, that bit on the inside that's 135mm and then welded around the inside as well, would help to give it some extra strength. But yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So I'll get everything cleaned off it now. Actually, I'm not going to put my line bar away because I've got another line boring job to do. So I can do that next. But yeah, that is all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.